This is Susan Wilbanks with BlendedInsight.com. I am a holistic and integrative healing arts practitioner, an intuitive, and an energy healer. In this podcast, I share tips, tools, and suggestions that have helped me along my path in hopes of inspiring and helping you along yours. Let's get started with today's podcast topic.
Hello, Bright Soul. Thank you so much for joining me on another podcast. I appreciate you so much for showing up, your kindness, your support, your donations. And for those of you who have chosen to join our High Vibe Lightworker tribe over on Patreon, so grateful for it all. And it's been really, really beautiful here. We've had warmer temperatures. It's been really spring-like before spring, which, oh my gosh, it's one of my favorite times of year. But I did go on a cruise in February. And do you all like cruises? Because I think I don't really like cruises. I mean, we had a great time. And every year in February for my birthday, I usually plan a trip to get into some warmer temperatures. So the year before we went to Hawaii, which was phenomenal, but the flight was brutal. That long airline flight had me questioning whether or not it was worth it. I'm just not a big being cooped up type of person. So short flights are perfect. Direct flights are perfect. But that thing was really, really long. And then I was jet lagged. I was jet lagged for a few days getting there. So had a great time, but I thought, I don't really want to do that flight this year. So this year I decided to do a cruise simply because it was going to the Bahamas and I wanted to get into some warmer weather. And I can't really do long cruises because after about 3 days on the boat of buffet food, which is just not ideal for me, the same people, crowds, I am ready to jump into the ocean and swim back to wherever I came from. It just becomes too much. So yeah, it was really interesting because I'm in such a different place now and I love being on the water. And so I got a balcony cabin so that I could go outside on the balcony, and it was a little rainy and cold for the first 3 days. I mean, again, had a blast. I'm always going to make the best of it. Had a great time. But just feeling into it, you know, the ocean was a little bit rough. So I don't know. It's a couple of times where I felt like, ooh, I'm feeling a little nauseous. Even though I don't really get seasick, it's just because of the storms and things around us. And then I just thought, I would rather have just went to the Bahamas and stayed in the Bahamas and did beach stuff and came home. And actually, I don't need to go to the Bahamas. I could just go to Florida. I mean, it's a quicker flight and I used to live in Florida and I'm familiar with the area. So I don't know. Over the years, I've just gotten more and more simple. I've done overseas travel. I've done a lot of travel. And anymore, it's like, okay, what's going to be the least crowded and give me the most spaciousness, the most freedom, the most solitude? Because that was the other thing with this cruise that we went on. There were so many children. And, children, this is going to make me sound like an old person, but the way the current children are being parented are not the way I parented. And so it's difficult to be around rambunctious, rotten children that don't behave and listen to their parents. It just becomes too much. It's overstimulating. And, my daughter and I joke because when she was little, I would squeeze her arm, and I don't even want to hear people, oh, that's abusive. I wasn't abusive. If she was cutting up, I would squeeze her arm to let her know, mother is not playing around. Cut it out. Like, stop. You need some discipline, master yourself. Like, today's not the time and place. So anyway, she just grew up like that. So now when we're in public, she goes, that kid needs their arm squeezed. So I wasn't spanking her, but it's like, hey, how many times do you say knock it off? And then they don't knock it off. And it's like, wait a minute, there's other people here. So I get that you're having big emotions, but let's learn how to behave with manners in society and not ruin everyone else's time that has paid money for this trip while they listen to you act like a brat, running. Oh my goodness, we're having formal dinners and the children are running and the parents are just clueless. And I don't get it. And I'm sure every generation has said this about their generation. Probably when I was raising my daughter, my dad was probably having these conversations with my aunts and uncles, like he didn't like my parenting or that I was too soft on my daughter. And now I'm doing it. And I realize that. And I understand the way humanity evolves. I get all that. But I just don't enjoy being around misbehaved children and parents that are just, sucking down alcohol and not paying attention and getting drunk. And I thought, wow, here's an opportunity to really feel into this moment and see what is here for me now. And do I enjoy this? And I'm going to say, I even offer to possibly consider another cruise, but on a different cruise line with less children. And there's no amenities for children. So it would be like mostly an adult only cruise. But here's the thing. I bet those cruises are drunk fests. And that's not fun either, because then we had to deal with, the drunk men hitting on us and all this kind of stuff. And all I'm trying to do is go be in the warm weather. That's it. I just want to sit by the pool or sit on the beach and relax. I want to read. I want to meditate. I want to chill. And you can't really do that when there's people, drunken and whatever. Anyway, I said all that to say, what are your thoughts on cruises? What are your thoughts on cruises? Because when we got back, first of all, I felt like I was on the boat for 3 days. So I looked like an absolute loony person, because I would just be standing there and all of a sudden I would like stumble like I'm trying to catch my balance and I'm not on the cruise. And at night when I'm sleeping, I felt like I was still rocking. And I remember that happening last time I did a cruise, but not, and the last time I did a cruise, like the drinking didn't bother me as much, because that was in a phase of my life where I would have like one drink. And so it didn't bother me. And I wasn't nearly as conscious as I am now. So anyway, long introduction about cruises. So I digress. Let's get into the topic for today. And that is when you're in the middle place. Because this is the place where people get discouraged. This is when you've made a decision, or you've had a calling, or you've had an insight, and you're moving toward what you're being called to, what you're creating, what you're moving toward, but you're not there yet. So you're in the middle. So it's kind of a waiting place. And it's a place where you can feel like, when is this thing going to happen? I'm focused on it. I know it's in my heart. I'm doing all the things. I'm doing the daily guidance, but I'm not there yet. And this is the piece where you have to relax and know that there's something here for you, because there's no accidents. And a blessing before its time is a curse. This was something T.D. Jakes used to say, is a blessing before its time is a curse. And it's so true, because if you got your driver's license at age 8 before you learned how to drive and your brain was more developed, then you wouldn't be ready to get that driver's license and have a car. So when you are prepared for it and you're in the waiting season and you're doing all the work, it's valuable. But I know that we're impatient, and I know that sometimes we can get frustrated and feel like it's not going to happen, or did I hear the guidance correctly, or what's going on? So this is the beauty of mindfulness practices, of knowing and trusting that, first of all, let me do what I'm told to do. Let me follow my guidance, but then also let me be here in this present moment. What is here for me now? And just trusting. It's a faith walk. And I know a lot of times when you are the one that is focused on creating something new, you're moving to a new place, you have a vision that others can't see because it's been placed in you for a reason, and it's for you to walk out. You could be surrounded by people who will try to squash that. They'll try to squash that aspect because it's not in their reality and it's not for them to see. And I get that most people in this world are focused on numbing themselves. They're drinking, they're drugging, they're watching TV all day, they're not learning, they're not developing. And that's their path, and that's their part in this evolution walk. It's not a judgment, because I know that I spent a period of my time in a place like that. But when you're trying to move out of the sludge and lighten yourself up and let go of old patterns, and you're breaking ancestral trauma and you're cycle breaking, you might be walking on that journey by yourself because you aren't yet surrounded by people who share a similar vision and a similar alignment. I know this because this has been my entire life. And so you feel like you're standing on this mountain all by yourself. And this is why I say, don't tell small minds your big dreams. I don't do that. I don't share what I'm doing with anyone except for, well, I'll say fast forward now, I can share it. There's a couple of people. When I say a couple, I really mean like 2 people in my entire life right now that I could share some aspects of my big dreams with. And they would hold that space and they would help to propel that forward. But most of the stuff I'm intuitively guided to hold. Like, I'm not guided to share until it's time. So I'll say, like, if I rewound like maybe 10, 20 years ago, there was no one, because I was in the middle place of aligning two people that were in a place that I was going. But it's very lonely in that middle place because I wasn't there yet. So I felt the spark. I felt the inspiration. I was moving toward, I wasn't there yet. I had left the other stuff behind. And in that place, that's the point where you really have to get grounded and clear and stay inspired with your vision to keep moving forward and keep yourself grounded with all the practices we talk about on this channel. And the main thing is like staying encouraged. I mean, filling your mind with affirmations and podcasts. And I like high vibrational music. I like to sit in solitude. I like to journal. I like to read. So I feed my mind with that stuff. You can learn a lot about someone by looking around their space. Like, what are they feeding their mind with? So if you look around my space, you're going to see tons of books. You're going to see my clearing spray. I've got a lot of essential oils. I have a clear, clean space. I've got a lot of spiritual tools. I have like spiritual pictures, spiritual statues. In my kitchen, it's just a lot of like health food. So you can tell that I spend most of my time learning, exercising, evolving. Like, mine is health and spirituality. Those are my top two values. There's a lot of pictures of my family, the people that I love. So that can leave clues about your values and where you're putting your time and attention. Really taking an inventory of, where am I spending most of my money? That's the other thing. Where are you putting most of your money? What do you spend it on? Because my money goes to self-development, growth, spirituality, health and fitness, exercise. I mean, my leggings, Lord have mercy for those of us that are gym girlies, like my leggings. The way I go through leggings is insane because I have a million pair of black leggings. They get stretched out or worn out. I have to buy new ones. So anyway, those are all things to support my health and fitness. And that's where the majority of my time, money, resources go. And audiobooks, podcasts, spiritual books, pranic healing, stuff that can make me a better healer so that I can serve. It's, buying stuff for my YouTube channel or video creation or content creation. Like, that's where most of my stuff goes. So that's the other piece of it, is like, okay, how can I nourish myself in this space and keep my faith? So for me, I do breath work every day. I do meditation every day, stepping outside, getting fresh air, being in the sun, exercising. I exercise every day. I sit and get my guidance every day. There's all these things. And calling in those situations, like the support and whatever it is that you need, calling it in, and then knowing that, okay, I already called it in and I know that this is going to happen in most divine timing, so I can just settle in to what's here now. And then learning some patience. That's the other thing with this technology age where everything is a quick fix and downloadable. People have lost the ability to just have some bloody patience. So that's the other piece of it. So really, that's all I wanted to offer. Take inventory, see where you can make adjustments to keep yourself supported and lifted up and nourished, knowing that you're not going to be in the middle place forever. You're going to get to the finish line, and then you'll have something new to start, because that's how it goes in cycles. I accomplished this. Now it's time for me to keep creating. What's next? So that's all I wanted to say. I hope that helps. Let's go into a healing. You can uncross your arms and legs and focus on your breathing, and I will turn the healing on. Okay, and so it is. Friends, I want to thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you so much. I love you all. I love you so much. And if you're drawn, you can hop over and join our High Vibe Lightworker tribe over on Patreon. And as always, I want to wish you a beautiful week. Take care. Bye-bye.